don't want to be alive. Like there are people this stupid on the face place is what my friend calls it.
So the ether thing, that was the thing before we understood what relativity and special relativity was with Einstein. So they just assumed that there was some kind of matter in the universe that was in charge of different things. So if you're familiar at all with Einstein's history, he would talk about the ether, the AETHER, as some kind of force in the universe that people didn't quite understand.
And wasn't it related to like gravity too?
Yes. So when he was developing relativity and special relativity, it had to do a bit with gravity, but that was before we knew that dark matter was a thing. And so when he was talking about how, the universe should be like blowing to bits, going across all this kind of weirdness stuff, is like this stuff is literally pulling the universe apart. That's dark matter. So dark matter we know exists because of gravity, the gravity associated with that. So a lot of things that Einstein was talking about with the ether didn't make a lot of sense until we started to think about, okay, there's a thing called dark matter. So
this was like three before we. So like again, these people love to go back to a time and place where you cut limbs off with a knife and you treated things with black salve like they did in the Civil War. And so if we go back to science from 1840, we can be on Jillian's plane.
Oh,
right.
Great. They go back to a place where we didn't know things.
Well, even
they figured out where we know shit.
Even before Einstein, the ether was supposedly the medium through which light traveled. That was the whole thing with it.
Yes.
So and then they found out light doesn't need a medium, so they figured that out. And guess what? No ether.
Yeah, I read that the whole ether idea kind of died in the early 1900s or something. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. So
ether also is a chemical that will conk you out really quick too.
Yeah, isn't that
you're talking about ethyl alcohol? That's what they use prior to anesthesia. So they would put that, and they have you suck in the ethyl alcohol and they knock you out, and then all of a sudden you wake up, wow, I had surgery.
I think they always
that's like, oh my gosh, they sell that today. It's called Everclear, right?
they need to go out and all of them get as much ether as they can and huff it until they can't anymore.
And and then their heads can explode, and then we don't have to deal with them.
Right.
So I have to tell you guys. So I've been going through this paper that I use that term loosely, where it's her response to the Ohio DA. And I've had other people involved, and I've been talking to them about it. And so there's some high school teachers I've been talking to, in biology and also in English. I'm like, guys, I want to get you a copy of this paper. And so there's legitimately some high school teachers that are wanting to use this as extra credit for their students to go through and rip it apart on everything that's wrong with it.
That's funny. It's actually funny. At least it's, you know what though? She should give it to. You need to give it to elementary school or middle school people, so it's more on their level. Have
right.
I
feel like my son, who's going to be 6 next month, understands science better than she does.
I'm sure. Anybody that makes a claim that you can regrow limbs with cabbage and salt, as if that wouldn't have been discovered already. If it was that simple,
yeah. It's and for me, that whole claim about regrowing an organ, I think I told this to Mel, but it's so offensive because my son has no pituitary gland, right? So
my gosh.
If there was a legitimate way to regrow a pituitary gland and put it back in the brain, you think science would figure it out, and it wouldn't be cabbage and salt.
Cabbage and salt?
It would not be cabbage and salt, no.
Mel, what do you want to give us a run through really quick of since you read her book, some of the claims that she makes in addition to what we already know. We already know the regrowing the limbs and the curing the gay thing. What else is she claiming that can do?
We're going to thank you for this because we have ADHD and we can't read this crap.
Right.
So okay. So she thinks it can cure like HIV. She thinks it can cure HIV. She thinks essentially everything that she breaks down.
Whoa! Stop right there. That makes sense because everybody is wanting to know how Magic Johnson has lived this long. Maybe he is just eating cabbage and salt. That makes sense.
That might be it. We should totally ask him.
He's on that whole, it's not the antiviral regime he's on, right? No.
Can't be the antivirals or the updated. Here, oh God. I actually know people that are very close to me who have HIV and they take antivirals on a regular basis and they have to change them because of the fact that the virus adapts and changes. That's one of the reasons why we don't have a vaccine for HIV is because of the fact it can adapt and change. That's why AZT doesn't work effectively as it used to, because the few viral molecules that stick around after the initial treatment, those are the ones that are resistant to HIV, and then those spread. And so I do actually have friends that are HIV positive, and they're on all kind of antivirals that are associated with that in order to stop at least reduce the viral load. And what that means is having a limited amount of virus molecules that affect their immune system. And so when Jilly goes out there and is like, well, this cures the HIV, and I'm like, you are just, no, that's not how it works. But
it's offensive.
Whatever. It is quite offensive.
If it were only that easy, right? We wouldn't need scientists and peer-reviewed studies and millions of dollars in labs. I know.
Right. Oh my God. It's so frustrating. And so when I'm going through and I'm still redlining this like a freaking teacher, just so you know. It's like when she talks about the growing of the limbs.
Katie and I were talking before the show. I think this will be a good time in the last probably got about 20 to 30 minutes left. So this will be a good time to tackle this, I think. And Mel, we'll get your opinion on this. We had a gentleman on this show. We've actually had him on here twice. And
the urine guy?
Yes. Katie recently is diving into the urine therapy world, and so people are always shocked to find out about this. And he claims that number one, he claims urine is sterile, which it is not.
No.
He also claims that it can cure gangrene. He knows this because a nurse called him in the middle of the night, and he actually had to urinate on a guy's gangrenous leg. And he drinks it. He washes his face with it. He says that aged urine is the best. You should at least age it for 30 days. And on his website, he has canning and processing tips for how to best. Sorry, I know this is great. However, I didn't know this, but in China, there's a huge population that swears by this.
It's all over. No, it's like an Indian thing too.
I'm going to let you talk about that part now. So you tell us how people wouldn't think this is something that's widespread, but tell them how they're wrong.
Me? Are you talking to me? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's legit crazy. Like, so it's like a Chinese and like Indian thing from what I can tell. It's really big over there, and it has this like, they call it like orin therapy, like ORIN. I don't know. It's like, it sounds like urine, but like more like sophisticated. Like, it's not urine therapy.
It's way more marketable to call it orin therapy. Orin therapy is more marketable.
Right. And so I joined this Okay, so I have some sock accounts, I'm not going to lie, because that's how I get lots of information for these articles. And do not get rid of my sock accounts Facebook. In one of these,
I'm totally judging you right now, Katie. I'm judging you. I'm judging you right now.
Oh, I have
this is going to be good, though.
Screenshots. Gonna be good. I have screenshots. There's people literally that talk about their obsession with drinking pee, and they like the taste, and they build shelves so they can age the pee, and they take pictures of the sediment that like goes to the bottom, like as like it ages, it gets like really like solid at the bottom, and then they like talk about what kind of pee tastes the best, and then some people enjoy the pee so much they wish they can drink it all day long. It's disturbing. Now there's this guy named Sage, and he calls himself Brother Sage, right? And he is like Jilly.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like Jilly. He's got medical advice that he can give you about how urine or in therapy will cure everything, right? And it stops the aging process, right? Except for Sage is looking a little haggard. He's definitely aging, and it's not a cute look. And so if he's saying that this works, his wrinkles are not matching that. He's currently
a little bit.
He like, oh my gosh, there was a video I was watching of him, and he was basically like had a like blanket on his head, and he was like being like all guru, and he was like tousling the blanket, and he was just like, everyone take a deep breath, be present. And it's just like all that new agey bull crap. And
yeah, it's like Deepak Chopra.
Yes. It's like, and he charges like $35 an hour so that you guys can talk about, you know, being like clear of your disease by drinking pee. Yeah. And he's written books too, and which are also sold on Amazon.
Okay, I have a question. Did he actually go on any kind of site with Bear Grylls where they were drinking like elephant pee from turds? Because I would probably watch that.
Oh my!
You know,
I have a theory.
Here's the funny thing. Oh wait, you go with your theory.
I was just going to say
he has a YouTube account.
He probably does. Yeah.
If you're ever in a point in your life where you're building a shelf and somebody comes to your house or whatever to stop in, and they ask you, what's the shelf for? And you say, to age my urine. You have gone horribly wrong in life somewhere. Something
Correct.
Really bad
Absolutely.
has caused you to take a... Dave claimed that by washing your face in it and using it for cuts and burns, it stimulates some kind of reaction with your cells or whatever, and that's to come out. Why though is, if this is complete junk, because it obviously is, why are people going to that level to do this when obviously there can be no results from it? None.
Well,
I have a thought on that.
I think the placebo effect is actually probably a part of it, you know, that whole like I'm doing something to treat it. But did you read the part where they actually put it in their eyes?
Yeah, there are people who put urine in their eyes. I think I honestly feel like that this falls along similar lines of the people that think the earth is flat. And the reason why I say that is because they think they have some kind of special knowledge. They have special knowledge that nobody else in the world has. So this makes them inherently important and special. So if I drink this pee and I squirt it on my face and shove it in my eyes, this gives me like some kind of super freaking edge that nobody else has because I'm special and I know things the rest of the world doesn't.
And so they are special.
And they're all connected, right? They're all connected. They all believe in flat earth and chemtrails, and they believe that they are like toxic, giving us toxic stuff through vaccines.
They are like the super special Justice League of America that nobody really wants to listen to. So
and Dave, the great thing about Dave